All right, guys, so here we are in the next video. Pretty cool, right? So let's go ahead and get started talking about, to end this three-part series, what is the other approach, right? In the first video, we kind of broke some information down. In the second video, we showed you how to get those sales and how to rank up from an outside-in approach. Now let's take it the other way. Let's take it from an SEO algorithmic approach, not a creative approach, but an algorithmic approach. So from an algorithmic approach, we really couldn't rank this image. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but with the way this image is, and let me correct myself, we couldn't rank this image for the keyword turtles. Like if we just try to rank for the keyword turtles alone, it's not going to work. It's going to be too difficult, and we won't be able to break that threshold. We just won't be able to, especially if we're not using the favorite automator and the Instagram, right? So if we're just doing it solo without the favorite automator, without the Instagram, without getting those sales and without getting those favorites, it's next to impossible to do it. We're not going to be able to be seen on page 86, for example. If we're on page 86 organically, right, and we're not using the favorite automator, meaning we're not getting a host of favorites every day, we're not getting hundreds of favorites every day, and we're not using the Instagram to get sales, then we're probably going to stay on page 86. We're not going to just magically go up from page 86 to page 4 and get some attention. It's not going to happen, right? And so if that happens, which for most people it does, like I said, 80% or more don't make money on Redbubble. It's not a mystery as to why. It's most likely that's what happens to people, right? So if I'm not going to make sales, what's a different way to make that happen? Well, a different way to make that happen is to switch the niche. And if you remember from one of our last videos, when we were talking about the Redbubble course, what is a niche? Do you guys remember? I'm trying to quiz you here. Do you remember what a niche is? A niche is a specific keyword. So to give example to that and precedence to that, the word turtles is a different niche than the word save the turtles. And save the turtles is vice versa, a different niche than turtles. They could potentially be a subheading of each other, meaning a sub-niche of each other. So save the turtles could potentially be a sub-niche of turtles, but not necessarily. And don't think of it from a keyword perspective. Don't think of it, well, I see the word turtles here, and I see the word turtles here. That means they're together, they're same niche, etc. Don't think of it that way. You could think of it that way maybe from a Google standpoint. Even Google, they're not the same niche, right? Well, they are the same niche, but they're not the same keyword. In a Redbubble standpoint, do not think of it from a keyword perspective. You have to think of it, or don't think of it from a niche perspective. You have to think of it as a different keyword. As long as the results are different, that means by definition they are a different niche. That's very important to understand. Because if they are a different niche, then the tags, the titles, and the rules and regulations of that niche to rank up higher, meaning the thresholds, the mathematical thresholds, are either easier or harder. Let me explain. For the keyword save the turtles here, you have 6,845 results. God knows how many pages that is. I mean, we could do the math. We could do 6,845 divided by 120. We could do the whole thing. Right? But let's not worry about that for now, okay? Let's just say for math purposes, it's 100 pages. I know it's not, but let's just say it's 100 pages. And then here we have the keyword turtles with 87,000. And let's just say, once again, for math purposes, even though it's not, it's 1,000 pages. So this is 1,000 pages, and this is 100 pages, okay? The amount of favorites it would take me to reach the natural threshold is much lower on this niche than it is on this niche. Meaning, if I have my design, let's just say I take two designs and I duplicate them. So let's just say this design, I duplicate it. And I post it on Redbubble, and I add the word save the turtles, okay? And then that's design 1. And then design 2, I take the exact same design, and I add the word turtles. And each of those designs, using the Redbubble Favorite Automator, which is this tool right here, you could find it on Bots and Apps. I'll leave the link in the description. I'm not going to show it now, but you get the point. I described it in the last video. I'll leave the link in the description to the last few videos. But let's just say they each get 1,500 favorites. Let's just say that's the case. And let's just assume that in some universe, for the keyword save the turtles, right, the natural threshold is somewhere at page 2. What do I mean by the page 2? It means that you can, and what do I mean by natural threshold? Okay, natural threshold is how far can your designs go in the ranking without acquiring any sales, and only based on keyword relevance and favorites. How far can it go? Can it go to page 2? Can it go to page 3? Can it only move 10 pages? Can it only move 100 pages? How many pages can it move, right? If we had a design with, let's just say, 40 results, the design with the most sales is going to be at the top. If the design at the top doesn't have any sales, then effectively there is no threshold. Depending on how many favorites and the right tags that you have, you can easily be at the top. Hence why I create a video called Dominating the Niche, which I can make a whole different video on that re-explaining it, but regardless, let's stick to the topic here. So what happens is, if both designs reach 1,500 designs, right, the ratio of ranking will be much, much higher for Save the Turtles than it will be for Turtles, just off of the fact that there's more competition. Maybe that veil of invisibility, that threshold for the keyword turtles, is maxed out at page 9, okay, with no sales. But maybe for Save the Turtles, it's maxed out at the bottom of the first page. Maybe that's what it is. So you have to keep that in mind. That's why we say every niche is different. Now, a second reason why every niche is different is based on the tags that are relevant. If you notice here, we have here the most relevant form of filtering for designs. So based on relevancy, right, and sales and favorites, this design is more relevant to the concept Save the Turtles than this design, or this design, or this design, etc. And the reason why is because it's not just keywords. Keywords is a huge part. It's not just keywords, but it's also tags, or excuse me, it's not just keywords, it's aka tags, but it's also sales and favorites. Now, you might say to me, well, this shark design gets more sales than this design, and that's perfectly possible. However, this design is considered more relevant. It's higher at the top than this design because of its tags and its keywords, okay? Back, let's say a year or two ago, Redbubble was filled with designs that had nothing to do with the actual word searched. And it still kind of exists, but not as much. Redbubble's actually fixing their algorithm now as we speak. But you see this design here. There were designs, like if I search turtle, a picture of a goat can appear. Why? Because there are certain tags that relate to the keyword turtle, and that's kind of why they rank. Now, Redbubble, like I said, is slowly fixing things. But it still doesn't take away from the relevance of keywords. That's kind of why it's important. So let's take the second approach. Like I said, the first approach was the out-in approach, where we're inflating the number of sales, inflating the number of favorites, getting that design to the top of the rank artificially, then allowing that artificial placing to get search naturally on Redbubble and get sales. Well, now, how can we get more sales without doing that? How can we get more sales without doing the favorites and the likes and all that kind of stuff and the Instagram stuff? How can we do it? Well, the first thing, like I said, it's going to be next to impossible for the keyword turtles with none of those factors, with none of those artificial boosts. It's going to be next to impossible because, like I said, that threshold is so high, right? That it creates such a space between the top of the page, page 1, and the end of the threshold, right? So it's going to be next to impossible. So what can we do? What's an alternative? Well, this is why, like I said, creating text-based designs is somewhat important for certain people. If I create a design that is just purely a turtle design, and I try to rank it for the keyword turtles by just simply creating the design, doing nothing else, I have a higher chance of ranking if I do the exact same thing with Save the Turtles and let Saving the Turtles be the only tag. Does that make sense? Let me go ahead and repeat that because I know I went over that kind of quick. Let me repeat that. If I upload this design and I title it Turtles, and I do nothing to it. I don't use any of the bonuses. I don't use the favorite automator. I don't get any favorites on the account. I don't get any sales through Instagram, and I just sit back and wait. My design here with the keyword save the turtles as the tag, the only tag, will rank higher over time than this design will for its respective keyword. Now, why is that? Well, one of the factors is because there's less competition here, right? There's less competition. And when we say rank higher, we're talking about in ratio format and fraction format. So place, let's say, 15 out of 6,845. Does that make sense? Or versus place, 15 out of 87,777, whatever it is. You get my point. So that will happen. And the reason why that will happen is, first of all, there's less competition. Now, we're all basing this on the assumption that the secondary tags are also relevant tags, which is a huge concept nobody talks about, right? All of your designs have to be relevant, right, from a secondary tag perspective. Meaning, what do I mean by main and secondary tags? When you tag on Redbubble, there is no concept of main or secondary. Redbubble doesn't come out and say, use this keyword as the main, use this keyword as your secondary. But in the course, and we've spoken about this in the course, this is why it's crucially important to get the course if you're going to be serious about this. But the main keyword is usually the keyword of your title. And 99% of the time, people use the title-based keyword in the tags as well. Most people do that. Now, you might ask me, depending on my title, am I automatically going to rank for that keyword? The answer is no. And I'll explain what I mean. If I use save the turtles in my title, but I don't include it in my tags, I will not be ranking for the word save the turtles because it's not in my tags. The tags are the only thing that matter when it comes down to ranking for relevant keyword terms. Does that make sense? Now let's go ahead and expand this concept of ranking, short tail, long tail. Let's do this. Here we have in the water, find my flow. I find my flow. Let's go ahead and do this, right? So in the water, I find my flow. Let's go ahead and search for this. There's nothing here, right? There's no designs here. If someone was to search for this and I was to post this design, I would be getting the first rank. Why would I be getting the first rank? It's because the competition doesn't actually exist. So let's now go ahead and take that same concept and let's do a Google search of that keyword, because if I'm going to use this design, it's important that I actually look at the title that's important that will lead to search results. So let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go here to my keyword research tool and I'm going to search it. So in the water, I find my flow. Okay, let's go ahead and search for that. And let's see if any results potentially come up. Okay. And so here we see that there is no search volume, right? And so in this case, right, and I could even add a comma here. I don't think it will make a difference, to be 100% honest with you. Yeah, no difference. But you could see here with this design, right, in the water, I find my flow. It's possible to rank for the keyword, but more importantly, there's no search data. In the past few months, nobody's searching for it. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, I can rank first for this keyword. I can compete with this keyword. And I could also try to artificially rank with this design for the keyword turtles. Where can I go from here? What's my best option? Well, if you go here, you're guaranteed to rank on the first spot because there are no competitors, right? If you use this design and you're not using the boosters, meaning the favorite automator, the follow bot, you're not using any of those features, and you just try to rank, you're also not going to make any sales because you're not going to be seen. There's 87,000 designs, right? So then what's the opportunity? What can I do here? Well, you can create a hybrid, okay? And this is what the hybrid is. The hybrid is regardless of which design you pick, right? You pick the relevant keywords for a specific idea, and that's the thing. So let's say I want to rank for the keyword turtles. If I'm going to go for a short tail keyword, and let this be a law, you have to use the boosters. You have to use the favorite tool. You have to get artificial sales. It doesn't have to necessarily be through Instagram. Instagram is just one of those ways that are dependable, right? It doesn't have to be through Instagram. If you know how to do it through Twitter, go through Twitter. If you know how to do it through Pinterest, go through Pinterest. Instagram is just one of those ways that you really don't have to have almost any experience with. Basically, all you have to know is how to post on Instagram, and you make decent posts. And that's one way, right? So you have to know how to inflate the numbers of the sales and of the favorites, right? And the favorites is obviously super simple. I explained that in many other videos. When you get that done, right, you have to then find relevant keywords to the keyword turtles, regardless of what design you're going to use, right? So this is what I mean by the hybrid. So the hybrid is that you can't pick something with absolutely zero competition, like the one I just showed you, excuse me. I might cut out there because I pressed on the button, right? Because there's nobody searching for it. Even if you are at the top, you're not making any money. But the thing that you can do is you can find a niche that has a little bit of competition, maybe even save the turtles here, and that's where you start competing for the keyword. So let me show you how that works, right? So I can go here to this exact keyword. Let me go ahead and get rid of some of my other links here, okay? Save the turtles, and I could see what keywords are relevant from an algorithmic standpoint to this design. So I could go over here, get my Redbubble Tagger, which, by the way, the Redbubble there's other tools for tagging, but the Redbubble Tagger, what it does is it sees all the other designs, not just on page one, but all of them, on all the pages in a matter of seconds, and it searches through them and understands what designs have the highest, or excuse me, what keywords have the highest probability at the top of the rank, based on all the designs, okay? So I can go over here and click grab tags for the keyword save the turtles. And indeed, it's going to provide me a list of all the different keywords that are associated with save the turtles, right? So if I go over here and click turtles, turtles is one keyword that should be in a save the turtles design. And remember, these are secondary keywords because if I'm going to make my design save the turtles, it should have that in the title. And why do I say that? Is because I need to actually get some search ranking. So actually, let me pause my screen and go back to my search software and see if there's actually any search volume for this, right? So let me go ahead and do that. All right, so you can see here, it has an average of 8,000 searches. Now, the average of 8,000 searches a month is not enough for me to really look at. It's not a number I should look at. I should really look at the trend from a month-to-month basis, right? And so at the peak, right, which is September of 2019, we have here 165,000 searches, right? And then it slowly kind of went downward. I remember there was some sort of campaign, I don't know if it was on YouTube or the government or something like that, where they were talking about straws getting stuck in the turtles' noses, and it causes some issues there, and it needs, we have to cancel out straws and all kinds of things going on. So we could look here years later, and the keyword still gets some search volume. And you could see the last month's search was 6,600 searches, right? The month before it was 8,100. The month before it was also 8,100, 6,000, and so on, right? So if I go over here and search other keywords associated with it, for example, save the turtle shirt, you could see here it has 350 searches a month. Well, 350 searches a month is definitely indeed a good place for me to go ahead and compete with. And in fact, check this out. On page 4 of the Google search, redbubble.com shows up for the keyword save the turtle shirt. So this is a perfect example, guys, right? A perfect example of a keyword that not only I can artificially boost my ranking for and have it worth my time because the competition is really not that hard, 6,800. I can also put my hat in the ring from an organic standpoint, just off of using the Rocket Tagger tool and finding the right keywords, right? Because remember, it's a multi-step process. If I get all the sales and I have a Save the Turtles design, but I don't have the right keywords in my tags, forget about it. I'm not actually going to rank for the keyword Save the Turtles, and I'm not going to get the right sales. Do you see where I'm going here? I could bet you that there's a lot of people that could have gotten more sales if they had just used the right keywords and they were just appearing for the right things. And unfortunately, the way that Redbubble works is Redbubble doesn't judge you on a keyword-to-keyword basis. It judges you based on the lump of keywords, all the keywords, and how more specifically they relate to each other. Meaning, if I use the keyword save the turtles in my tags, and I start adding random keywords like jungle, earth, goats, fish, I'm not going to rank for the keyword save the turtles because Redbubble looks at it and says, okay, well, you included save the turtles, but you included all this other stuff that has nothing to do with save the turtles. Let's not make sure this guy doesn't rank past a certain page. And it's not a human being saying this, obviously. It's an algorithm. So the first thing is you have to have the relevant keywords. There's no question about that. Now, however you choose to do that, okay? Is it going to be with the Redbubble Rocket Tagger? Is it going to be with a different kind of approach? That's up to you, right? But the point here is the first thing is relevant keywords. The second thing is finding the right niche. It can't be too big, but it can't be too small either. And like I said, you saw a perfect example of that earlier. And the third thing you could do to really guarantee that ranking, and more importantly, the boost of ranking over time, which is crucially important, is the inflation of the statistics, the sales and the favorites. A design that gets more sales, by definition, ranks higher. A design that gets more favorites, by definition, ranks higher organically in an area where there's no sales. So let me explain. If we have the keyword save the turtles, and let's just say the first 16 designs have sales, the rest do not. At least you get the position, the ability to get to page or position 17 just off of the favorites alone, because that's the threshold. Does that make sense? Favorites will never outweigh sales, right? But favorites outweigh no favorites. Does that make sense? That's huge. I should actually make a separate video on that just to really nail it home. But the reason why I'm making this small channel here is this channel is not for everybody. This is the channel for the people who subscribed. I think we have like 100 subscribers on this channel. I really go deep into print on demand and kind of explain things. And a lot of people may wonder, how do you get to 4K a month on a single store in Redbubble? How do you get on a brand new store to $800 in sales a month? How do you do this? Some people take years to get to that point. It's because we're taking it on a much deeper approach. And I think all of us can agree that most people don't. Let's just face it, most people don't. 80% of the people who sign up to Redbubble do exactly what I said in the last video. They create a design. It could be good, it could be bad, who knows, right? Most time it's actually bad, but let's just say it's good. They add a few keywords they think is relevant, and they just leave it. They don't care about the store, they don't care about the niche, they don't care about the tags, they don't care about anything associated with the right kind of ideologies to generate income. They don't care about the SEO, they don't care about anything. They just post it. Maybe they'll do that 30, 40 times, right? And most actually, this is insane, but most designers on Redbubble don't have more than 30 designs, right? Which kind of should show you something there. But anyways, when they do that, they don't get far. They don't get far, and then they label the platform, a scam or something like that because they don't think or they believe they should have got sales, but they didn't put in the work, the right work. It's not just about working hard, it's about working right. And ask yourself this, if you've been working on Redbubble, have you been doing everything that I'm saying? Have you been adding the right keywords? Have you been adding the relevant keywords? Are you using the Redbubble Rocket Tagger to do so? Are you doing the Redbubble favorites? Are you getting the sales from Instagram to amplify the ranking of your designs? All of these things play a part, right? And the less you do, the less results you're going to get. It's just that simple. And so there's never been a business in history where the less you do, the more you make. But somehow, some way, for some reason, when people do Redbubble, they think that the less they do, the more results they should get. They say, well, I uploaded designs and I'm not getting sales. Well, think about all the other things that are necessary. And I've said this before, but it doesn't matter if you have one really, really, really good design and really good tags on that design and everything, because it's only one. There's millions upon millions upon millions on Redbubble. You need to keep doing that every single day with all your designs over and over and over and over and over and over again until you can get more and more results, and your results will be multiplied. Every time you add a design that is valuable to your store, that design has a certain value. It might be $20 in value a year. It might be $100. It might be $50. It might be $10. But every time you add more designs, the value of your store goes up. So it's not enough to just do it once. And that's assuming that you're doing everything right? So that's just the name of the game, guys. And hopefully this like 3-part video series, which I'll leave the links in the description, will help you out get closer to where you want to be. And every single time you feel a little bit discouraged or maybe off track with Redbubble, come back, watch these 3 videos, right? I set them up as a little playlist. You can go ahead and watch them, get those better results, and make that money. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out. Bye.